Hello, hello, welcome. So today I'm going to paint for you from a reference picture. I'm using 100% cotton paper, and what I did was wet it down here. I am trying something different, and I'm using a voiceover today, and I'm also sped it up a little bit. This was a 26-minute long tutorial, and so I've shortened it to about 13 minutes for your convenience, really. And so again, I'm just wetting the paper, making sure it's not over wet, but it has a nice shine. See, you can see where I have it angled like that. And I'm just now getting all the fuzz off because I inevitably have fuzz on my stuff. Okay, I did use that mop brush, and now I'm going to use those two Addison colors. And I don't want you to rush out and buy anything, so I never suggest that. So basically what I'm using is a pale pink and a lavender. I'm creating a sky here, and then I'm also going to kind of mimic, well, I was going to mimic the sky in the foreground and then mess that up, as you can see. So I took that away, and I'm using a pretty big mop brush, my Polina Bright, which I absolutely love, and I would recommend getting one of those. I do love that brush, and I use it every single day. So if I had to say one product, 100% cotton, okay, two products, 100% cotton and a mop brush from Polina Bright. I love both of those. I'm adding the lavender here. I'm just kind of creating a really soft and light background. And okay, so what I was saying is about the sky and the ground here, the foreground here. I'm trying to kind of anchor what's going to happen in between with darker on the two outsides to kind of bring the eye into the middle. So we'll see if this works or not. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't. And that's okay. This is all just experimentation. And so now I'm just bringing in different colors, some oranges, some pinks, to kind of make a sunset and yellow. And I don't expect you to come along and follow exactly what I'm doing. This is more for inspiration and kind of telling you my thought process on what and why I do these things. So I'm just trying to blend it all together without being too realistic. I'm trying to keep it loose and airy. And I was really hesitant about sharing the reference picture only because I wanted you to kind of have fun with it yourselves. So I did not share the reference picture within this tutorial on YouTube here. If you really want it, find me on Instagram and I'll be happy to share it with you. It's from Unsplash, so it's a freebie, and there's no, weird copyright. And I will also put all that information down into the caption. But anyway, I'm just keep playing with the sky, and I decided to make it more of a sweeping motion, sweeping and swooping, right? Versus floaty, like puffy clouds. Obviously I don't do puffy clouds very well, and I feel like those are more realistic, and I tend to lean not towards that at all. So here I am just playing again with more colors, trying to darken that sky, and you'll see me change it like 4 more times. Just go back and forth. And to learn, that's what works for me. If you have a set plan that works for you, do it your way, right? If something works better for you, always use your way. Unless you're really just wanting to try something new, then absolutely try what other people are doing and see if it works for you. But if you're getting frustrated and you're just not liking it all, and you're like, oh my gosh, her way is just not working for me, I don't have this brush using, it's just not, you're not feeling it, right? If you're not feeling it, by all means, do it the way that you're comfortable with. And you can see me, I'm doing all sorts of different stuff here. I'm grabbing different colors, different paint makers, different brands. And that's another reason I don't really name the colors, because I use so many, and often I'll do it intuitively. So I will just be picking up colors at very random, and just kind of letting everything go together in hopes. See, there's me pausing, thinking about what should I do now? What do I do? And again, I'm just trying to make it my own, make it something that feels like it has me in it, as well as trying to take a reference picture and translate that into my style, which can be really, really hard, especially for me. This is new to me. It's only been in the last year that I've taken reference pictures and attempted to, not replicate, but kind of put my own version and spin on it. And so it's a new thing for me still, and it's challenging. So that's a heat tool, which I highly recommend. So here I'm adding the horizon, and a few mountains, just the shapes. You don't have to do this. And I was checking my reference. It's really bad when my head pops in. I try to take all those out, but it just wasn't happening, and cropping and all this stuff. So my apologies. Next time I'll be more aware of that and not do that, especially on a messy hair day like that. So anyway, I just add some mountains, and you don't have to, again, you don't have to do that with a pencil. I did because I wanted to try to, I don't know, I'm just trying to try different things lately, and so that was one of them. And so I fiddle with these mountains quite a bit here with color, and I've got them all off, and I'm taking away, I'm adding more, and I keep doing that, and I just keep playing. I dry each one before I move on to the next, and sometimes I don't, but I'm not using a lot of paint and it's pretty thin, so it dries quickly, even though I am on 100% cotton paper. And so I just keep playing. See, those two colors are different. It doesn't really make sense. The lighter one should technically, and then I go and darken it up. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing. And I often don't, and that's okay. If you don't know what you're doing either. So sometimes if somebody did this, right, they'd be like, oh my gosh, I messed up. I screwed up. I'm done. I'm done. This is awful, right? Try not to think like that. I guess if it's really, really bad and you're just over it, then definitely step away. But I feel like, see, I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do here? It's just not right. It didn't feel right. But I just keep going and I keep taking away and then I add some. And again, see, I already said all this, but I just keep messing with it. And there, look, I put a darker color in the back and it just didn't make sense, but it's okay. It's all exploration. It's just paper. I can do this again later if I really wanted to. And I wanted to leave all this in here to show you that we all like don't know what we're doing sometimes, right? We're all hesitating. We're all wondering if we're doing it right, the right way, the right colors, the right amount of everything, and I don't know. So I'm using my brand new Addison and Segwick handmade paints. I love them. I'm using a, oh my gosh, what color is that? Ah, I'm blanking on the names. Sometimes they have funny names and I don't always remember the names, but I can get it. I'll write it in the descriptions. It's from the Riga set, from her Riga set. So I'm just gonna kind of loosely play with the foreground here. I don't want it to look perfect, so I'm just adding greens and yellows and a little bit of orange and goldens and olives and kind of the more the merrier, right? Otherwise it just ends up looking flat. So I just keep adding and layering and kind of filling in if there's too much white on those sides right there. I love white space, but I don't like it too much on the sides, right? Because I still want that frame. The frame, see I'm filling in right there. A little white got away from me. All right, so here we go. We're starting the trees. Now, this is a tree I've never painted before. This reference picture had very particular trees, very specific, and I don't know what kind of trees they are. I probably should look and find out, but I don't know what kind of trees they are. But they have very specific branches and very unique shapes. And so I'm using an Escoda size 4, I believe, right here. And you'll see me switch because I'm like, oh, nope, too big, right? For those branches, you need a liner, a very thin liner, size 1 or size 2, round will do too. But my favorite for these, and I highly recommend getting a liner, this is my favorite one right here, Escoda Da Vinci, or I'm sorry, Da Vinci. And you can get that on Jackson Art. And again, I'll link all this stuff below. But this tree is just funky. So I just play with it over and over and over. And there just happen to be 2 trees. So you'll see me do this again. The second tree is different though. And again, if these trees you're just like, oh my gosh, I have no desire to do that, paint whatever tree you want, right? It doesn't have to be this tree. You don't even have to paint trees. You could stop it where it was before, add some birds, and there you go. You have a sunset with some, little mountain hills, and that's it. But I do suggest trying these because I think it's a very fun opportunity to maybe practice your thin line skills, right? Using a liner brush and seeing how thin and specific you can get and how detailed. So there I start with my round again for the second tree. I'm just using a mix of brown and I take some water away. You'll see me dab it with a tissue in a second here because I feel like sometimes that can be the best way to bring a little bit of light back into it. I made a wonky trunk, so I'm just trying to even out the trunk a little bit, but necessarily it doesn't need to be even, right? Because nature's not really even all the time. Although symmetry, right? Lots of symmetrical things in nature. Anyway, my tree's looking a little funky. I know this about it. So I'm like, oh wow, I made my branches a little too high. The perspective's off, but you know what? That doesn't matter. I'm trying and I would have never tried this a year ago. So even less than a year ago. I am just happy to be doing and playing. And again, it's just paper, right? It's just me experimenting, using different brushes. And I will go back to that liner because this round is just too thick for me, right? Some people can get incredible lines with a round. I'm not there yet. I hope to be one day, but I still need the liner. I lean on it like a crutch, like a crazy crutch, but it helps me. I can get those tapered off, fine tipped, little branchy like things like that. And so I just keep going and going and going, and then I, blend in my little trunk down there eventually into the ground a little bit so it's just not stuck there. I don't know where that word came from. Anyway, I'm just playing and it doesn't look exactly natural, and that's okay too. It's okay. It's all okay. You're learning every second of the way. I'm learning every second of the way. Every day I learn from every mistake. I learn more from my mistakes than I learn from my successes. And I probably make more mistakes than have successes, and that's okay with me too. it drives me and it gives me the momentum to keep going. It actually, I thrive on that. And I admit before I would get pretty darn frustrated with that. And I don't know, it just didn't work as well. Once I accepted where I was and what skill level I was and my limits, and I'm not saying I stopped with my limits, but I feel like I know my limits now and I know my style and I know what I can and can't do. And so I try to stay within that, but still pushing me, right? So I don't try to do things I know like I'm just going to get frustrated with, because that's just a recipe for bad, for me anyway. So yeah, I'm just finishing up this tree and filling in lots of little crazy little branches. This is a very, for lack of a better word, like hairy trees. They have so many little spindly little branchy little things everywhere, all over. So I'm just filling this sucker up over and over and over. And I invite you to experiment if this tree looks exciting to you. And you could practice on a piece of paper beforehand, you know, if you're on top of things and wise enough to watch this first and then attempt something, which I rarely am. I dive right in. So I'm usually like, oh, the person said to go ahead and wait. But no, I don't usually wait. Some of these I'm thickening up too, because some of them don't make sense. Like this tree, though, is really funny. Look how it really is. The reference picture, that branch is just like sticking out of the top like that. It's such a strange tree to me. We don't have those here. I've never seen a tree like that anyway. Maybe they exist somewhere. I don't know. Again, I should look at the reference and see where it was taken. They will often say. Anyway, so I am just really going to town on these little branches and hoping to, you know, make the best of it and fill it in. The more the merrier for that. So the reference does have these little trees in the background. I think they might be more like shrubs, but you know me, I love my pine trees, so I had to add them. And then I have to obviously fill in this foreground a little bit with some scribbles, some lines, blending that into the ground a little bit, some splatters, always splatters. I probably honestly could have spent a little more time on the foreground, but this is kind of a misty, foggy scene, and I wanted it to stay kind of simple, right? Because in misty, foggy scenes, you don't see a ton of details, even though my trees are a ton of details, but they're up close, right? So the foggy, misty feel, which I don't think I super succeeded at, is more in the background. It kind of fades off into the distance, right? But I did want to keep the foreground simple as well, and so I didn't add too many details, but I kind of did here and there. And you know, you got to have some depth and create, you know. But anyway, so take off that tape, and okay, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed painting it for you. I hope you get inspired, and I hope you find something that you can make and create your own of. And so thank you for joining me. Till next time, see you. Bye.